What is up, everybody? Aaron the Dog back with breakdown number 1 of 4 on the week. We got a busy week of MMA breakdowns and a short week for me. So starting early on a Monday with Lewis of Norton. We're actually getting started. We're getting started with the dogfight in the background. But besides that, we got UFC breakdown to do here. UFC from the Apex. With main event of Mareusz Gamrot and Arman Tsarukyan, one of the best main events of the year, actually. Honestly, just all the main events that the UFC has been putting on lately. Great, fantastic fight last week between Josh Emmett and Calvin Kattar. We were both actually wrong on the fight, but still, definitely a very close fight.
Did you score it for Josh, or did you score it for Kattar?
I scored it for Kattar on the third watch. First time around, bias betting me, scored it for Josh Emmett barely. But second watch around, I wasn't really sure, honestly. And then third watch this morning, I went with Kattar. I think that he got, I believe, what is it, 1, 4, and 5, was it?
Every time I've asked someone this, they've given me 3 different. A lot of people say Kattar, but they give me 3 completely different rounds, which to me makes it. It's not a bad call.
So I'll be honest. I'm way. Just from a personal perspective, I'm happy Josh Emmett won. So I'm a huge Josh Emmett fan. I got to interview him right after the Burgos fight back in the day. Really great guy. And he's a little older. I mean, Kattar's going to be fine. Like, Kattar's going to still be fighting main events. How many main events has Kattar fought now? You know, it's like, I think his next
4.
I think his next fight will be a co-main event at worst. So, you know, it sucks, but, you know, also you go to decision, you can't really trust the judges at this point in any organization. PFL, we're talking to you. Terrible, terrible decision. And not for the guy I bet on in Manfio. Of course, they got the Manfio fight correct. They finally judge a Manfio fight right when I bet on him. But anyways, we got a lot of MMA to talk about this week. I'm actually going to be covering the PFL right after this, so I'll go on my PFL rant later. We got 12 fights here tonight taking place back at the Apex. I kind of wish they would have just stayed in Austin because I do think that crowd effect is real, man. We had a lot of finishes quickly and last week, and I'm just kind of curious how much of a factor the crowd played. Also tomorrow, with regards to the Bellator show, we will be, not the Bellator, but the Cage Warriors show on Tuesday. Same time, we'll be having a special guest hopefully on. So I never advertise a special guest, but tune in to find out who it is. I never advertise when fighters are going to be on because fighters get hit in the head a lot and forget appointments and forget dates and all that. So it's like, we'll just see if he shows up. If he shows up, he can show up tomorrow and check it out. But Lewis will be there with me. But yeah, we got 12 fights. Let's go ahead and get started with the 115 division. 2 fighters who probably would be atomweights if there was an atomweight division, but there's not. Frey taking on Vanessa Demopolis. This is not a fight that I am going to put a whole lot of thought into, I'll be honest. I think that it's a pretty 50-50 fight. In all honesty, I think Vanessa obviously has the more capability of finishing with her jiu-jitsu. But other than Vanessa's jiu-jitsu, I'm not sure, how well she's going to be able to do kind of on the feet in this fight. I just think Frey is a little more technical. And I just think that she can wrestle if she wants, but I think their route to victory here is to stay on the feet. So I think we're looking at 15 minutes of not great stand-up, and Frey has slightly better not great stand-up, in my opinion. Former Invicta atomweight champion. She has seemed to adjust to the weight class a little bit, but we're looking at a 37-year-old here, just turned 37 against the 33-year-old Demopolis. I just think Demopolis is completely one-dimensional, and she should have been knocked out last fight against Juarez, and she just fell into that submission. I just don't see Frey making those same mistakes. I don't think Frey can knock her out, but I mean, we've seen Vanessa in several fights get pretty beat up on the feet pretty thoroughly by fighters. So I would think Keeps it on the feet and just kind of keeps it from getting the grappling, wins a decision. And Bilal's Beak says Jinyu Frey wins the hotness battle. I mean, okay. I don't really rate either of them in fighting or that. This is like DePaulo Oliveira all over again. Yeah, that's a really good point, honestly, Bilal. You probably just want to either bet the dog or you don't want to bet this fight, probably.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet this one personally. It's too close to call for me. I think you've nailed it. Jinyu Frey has bad stand up. I like that little thing. I don't. She's also quite difficult to take down. Mm-hmm. Most of the people Vanessa's gone against though are like not even 125ers. They're like 135ers. You think of like JJ Aldrich is a big 125er. Yeah, she's massive.
Yeah.
And she did go to the decision with her. She handled her own for the most part, but unless she's improved her striking dramatically, I just think it's a standard decision win for Jinyu here.
Yeah, and this is where it gets weird. Visceral's saying bet the over, which I wouldn't blame. No place on earth that I think this would be the odds. I'm looking at the odds all for the first time right now. Usually I check them out before. Minus 255 on Jinyu Frey. Bet Vanessa Demopolis and forget about it. Just sprinkle it. Plus 215. This fits my rule of low-level MMA, women's MMA. When it's over plus 200, bet the over plus 200. Vanessa Demopolis is my suggestion for a play if you're going to bet it. The dreaded dogger pass phrase has come up on the first fight of the night, but Jin is my official pick, but my official bet suggestion is to bet Vanessa Demopolis at plus 215. No one should be minus 255 here, especially not. Yeah, just no. So we'll move on to the next fight here. This is an awesome fight early on the fight card here, and I forgot to write down the first timestamp, so you're gonna have to listen to. I'm just gonna guess 130 for the first one. But next fight, 7 even. Brian Kelleher, and Mario Batista, 135. Mario Batista versus Brian Boom Boom Kelleher here. Kelleher making his return back down to 135 after being that sacrificial lamb against Umar Nurmagomedov. This, I think, should be a really interesting fight. This is one where, to me, to be fair to Paul, last week she was straight up robbed. Well, welcome to MMA judging. Like, you can't, that's why you can't trust a low-level women's MMA minus 250 favorite. Dog shots worked last week on WMMA. Exactly. Overall, if you consistently do that, like plus 200 or more on these low-level fights, you're going to make a profit. You're going to miss some, but yeah, you're going to make a profit. With this fight, Mario Batista, huge advantage on the stand-up. It is all about if Brian Kelleher can get this fight to the ground somehow. If Brian Kelleher can get this fight to the ground, he can definitely win it. I just don't think that Mario Batista is a gatekeeper. And I think this fight, if he loses it, Mario Batista officially enters gatekeeper status. And that's Brian Kelleher's realm. So, I just think it's kind of one of these fights. I don't think Brian Kelleher, these weight cuts are getting easier for him as he's getting older either. This is back down at 135 after 2 fights at 145, losses at 145. But I just always think when a guy's later in his career taking fights up a weight class, there's a reason. And, it's not because I just don't think it's an easy weight cut. Mario Batista has had his fair share of struggles with the weight cuts as well, and overall. But I just think as long as his wrestling's on point, this fight's on the feet. And on the feet, there's a huge advantage for Batista here unless Kelleher leaps in and catches him. And we know we don't bet on leap and catches unless we're certain animals. But either way, I'm going to go with Mario Batista here. I think he gets a late stoppage, late KO. So I'll say second or third round KO for Mario Batista.
Blimey, I'm completely the other direction. I think. I think Kelleher can kind of push him against and bully him a little bit. I think he can. He's a lot.
Wow.
I think he's a lot bigger. I know they've both had trouble with weight cuts, but I think he's a lot bigger than him. He can bully him against the cage, make it a little slugfest in there, and we all know what he can do with the neck.
You don't think Mario can avoid that?
Yeah, I do, but I also don't actually rate some of the individuals he's fought. I don't rate Jay Perrin at all. And
no, of course.
He really struggled to put him away. after dealing quite a lot of damage early on.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's going to get that chance with Brian. I think Brian's quite elusive. I think he was doing really well against Umar before he got out grappled. He didn't really get shut down through any striking initiations. I personally don't see Mario doing a lot of damage to Brian on the feet, that is. I think it's quite evenly matched on the feet. I think Brian, what he does is he grabs necks and he wrenches on him. Whether he's going for the actual fight, like whether he's going for the submission or not, is kind of irrelevant. He just wants to negate any attack you're going to do off it, so he just wrenches on limbs, and I think that could be an option. I do think using wrestling is a very smart approach to find Mario. Yeah. I think if he can get him down, he will hold him down. Absolutely hold him down.
I'm not sure with the extra 10 pounds of weight cut too, if he can keep that type of game plan against a deep. I mean, I'm not saying
he was undersized for featherweight. I think that's fair.
He was, but he's made statements. He's older in his career. Like he doesn't enjoy, I mean,
he doesn't enjoy losing, though.
Yeah, no, of course not. He's not in, I mean, he took those fights very aware of how much the odds were stacked against him. I know he's not taking this fight looking, it's a huge fight for Brian. Minus 160 on Mario Batista here. I got Mario Batista with a late KO, though. I really think the stand-up is a big difference.
I'm going with the dog then for decision.
Yep. Brian Kelleher plus 140. That's our first disagreement, 2 fights in. But, that's really interesting. I'm kind of surprised, but at the same point, after kind of hearing your points, it makes more sense. I thought these odds looked good. You got to be careful, after last week, we saw the minus 240 Dawkins not come through. I am going to kind of point out my other kind of overpriced guys as we go. Minus 160, though, you don't even have to hitch Mario Batista onto any parlays. You can bet him straight up here. I do like that opportunity. But, yeah. I see a few people that I could see a bounce back victory for Brian. I mean, Brian got that Ode Osborne sub. I mean, he needs one mistake to get that guillotine, as we all know. So I think it's going to be a really good fight. I think it has potential for fight of the night as well. So really looking forward to that one. I hope both guys make weight. If I could bet a prop, I would say one of them misses. But going on to the next fight here, this is not going to win any popularity contests here, in my opinion. JP Buys taking on Cody Durden, 125 or 130. Wait, this is at 125. Yeah, because someone has to be at flyweight. Dude, this is just a who the hell knows fight, to be honest with you. Cody Durden had that great round against Chris Gutierrez and hasn't really shown any signs of that since then. Honestly, JP Buys has one round of gas and then dies. Like, it's crazy.
You're not wrong.
JP Buys has had some personal issues go on. Cody Durden's had some personal statements go on. Like, this is a shit show of a fight. It's again a fight that I can't get a great read on. I think JP Buys is first rounder bust. So as a result, I by default go the other way on a lot of JP Buys fights, and it's worked out very well so far. I think Cody Durden has a slightly more experience. He's been in there with some good grapplers, a lot of them fucking him up, unfortunately, but he's still been in there with some good grapplers. I think he's a bigger guy here. I don't know. He's the underdog, so I'll take Cody Durden because I just don't believe JP Buys should be a favorite in the UFC. Fade JP.
Yeah, I mean,
plus 105 Durden. You got plus money on Durden.
Yeah, I mean, the only positive is that JP can actually attack submissions and get necks and
for a round.
Cody Durden, but Cody Durden doesn't know how to defend his neck at all.
He knows how to wrestle.
Yeah, does he? I mean,
he knows how to lay on top of a guy. Yeah, he knows how to wrestle.
I said to you
especially a tired JP Buys after the first round.
I'm not betting on JP Buys. I'm not betting JP Buys.
Are you picking JP?
No, I was just trying to play devil's advocate for ways maybe he could sustain something. But I think Cody Durden would have really lost the decision personally.
Yeah,
but
I think Durden probably loses the first round and then wins the next 2 rounds because JP has nothing left.
Yeah, so I was thinking if you are going to do something, maybe do an in play.
Yeah, live, because I think the only play for JP Buys is to catch a sub in the first round. Yeah, they both don't have gas tanks, but I think that JP Buys has the worst gas tank in the division. Pretty sure.
Maybe nearly the UFC, I would argue.
Yeah, at 125.
At 125.
That is nuts.
Could you imagine what Makayev would have done to JP Buys?
Oh my God. Makayev.
Bear in mind, I think Makayev's going to be champ.
He should be champ. He should have a co-main event by the end of the year or main event. Seriously. They need to start.
He's going to be back next month as well, end of next month to London.
Yeah. But yeah, that's I mean, the steak fight, we got a couple options for steak fights, but yeah, this is a steak fight.
Yeah, this is it.
Cody Durden and JP Buys is an absolute steak fight. And it's good because I don't like my steaks well done. I like them medium rare. And this fight, hopefully it'll be over nice and quick so I can get that steak off the grill. Otherwise, if Cody, here's my breakdown of the fight. If Cody Durden wins, you're having an overcooked steak. If JP Buys wins, you got a nice rare, maybe med-rare steak. So maybe I do want JP Buys to win for my steak. But otherwise, yeah, terrible fight, steak fight, absolutely. Next fight, this one's a interesting one. This one's at 135. Julian Paiva versus Sergey Morozov. Is Sergey Morozov M1 Wolf tickets? We will find out after this. Because, he's got a pretty rough go of it. That last fight out was nasty. Good God, Douglas Silva de Andrade. What you did to Sergey Morozov was mean. It was rude, and it was violent. And that's my real question here. How much has he recovered from that? Like, that was brutal. And
that wasn't long ago either.
It was not long ago at all. And, overall, Sergey Morozov came over from M1 with a lot of hype, and he had to face Umar Nurmagomedov in his first fight. So, it's like that's a pretty rough break for him. The Kazakhstani fighter. Also, shout out to 2 Kazakhstani fighters on this card. I wonder if that's the first time that's ever happened for the UFC, at least. But yeah, Sergey, he's very good, especially in the wrestling kind of realm. His stand-up is okay. Definitely fell too in love with him in the last fight. He was winning against Douglas Silva de Andrade till he wasn't. But when he wasn't, he got absolutely beat up and then choked out by and I believe was that Douglas Silva de Andrade's first submission of his career?
I think so.
First or second, maybe. So yeah, it's just how does he bounce back from this? He looked good against Khalid Taha. I don't rate Khalid Taha post USADA bust very highly. So
that was his first, yeah.
Yeah. And then it really sucks to get subbed after getting that violently beat up. Like that was a KO. That was a submission. So that, that's where we're at. I mean, coming into the UFC, if this was his UFC debut, I'm picking Morozov all day here. I think Julian Paiva has learned a lot from the opponents he's lost to. He's lost to very high level opponents, Bontarine, and that Bontarine fight was very weird.
O'Malley, yeah.
Kai Kara France, Sean O'Malley in his last fight. He has a win over Kyler Phillips, however controversial it is.
He did not win that fight.
Huh?
He did not win that fight.
Hey, he was still rolling with it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Kyler was exhausted, and I was still like, Kyler smashing him to pieces.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying.
2 rounds to Kyler, first 2.
Well, it still counts.
It still counts, yeah.
Either way, for me, it's tough for me to fully trust Sergey Morozov in this fight. I do think there's potential for Julian Paiva as he stays at this weight class. I think he's 26 years old. He's going to be the bigger guy, the longer guy. He definitely hits harder. We saw Morozov. He can get stung and very, very hurt. And I do think Paiva has stinging type of punches. And he's going to have good length. I think the movement for Paiva is a huge part of this fight. It's almost like he kind of needs to take some of the skills of his past opponent in O'Malley and implement them into his game plan here against Morozov. I'm going to edge towards Paiva. I think it's going to be I think there's a lot of close decisions on this card. And I think this is going to be another one that could be a split. I think it's going to be very close. But yeah, Morozov's route to victory is the wrestling all night. But I do think that if Paiva is able to stifle that, you see Morozov get really frozen on the feet and starts to become a little hittable. And getting that concussed that recently, I do question the damage he's able to take coming into this fight. So just a few of those things. I'm going to edge towards Paiva here, but I get the people on Morozov's side. I've just not seen it so far. On the state side, it seems that Morozov is a little different than in Europe for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'm completely the other side again.
That's fine.
I am thinking it could end up like Buckley Duraev. Like Morozov could be the 135.
All of a sudden, you're like, oh my God, when he can't wrestle, he turns into a punching bag. And I did not.
Yeah.
I said on the podcast breakdown last week, I did not have the balls to pick Buckley. That's the only reason I didn't pick Buckley, because I was ballless.
Yes.
So I'm telling you, Morozov gets those first couple shots stuffed, and he has to think about what the Andrade just did to him. And I mean, maybe his weakness is Brazilians. Who knows? I'm just saying, I think Paiva gets a little too much hate for the losses he's had. It's been the top competition. I'm not sure Morozov is top.
I don't think he's top, but I think Paiva isn't great.
Okay.
I honestly, he's got a great record, and he's got a win over Kyler Phillips. People will see that. But if you watch that fight back, I've watched the fight. He gets 10-8'd, man. And you tell me he doesn't.
Morozov ain't 10-8 nobody.
Like, no. But Sergey Morozov, I just think he's going to absolutely... The saying will be he's going to wrestle fuck Paiva for 3 rounds. Yeah. That is what he's going to do. I don't see him finishing him, but I see him just hold him down, pass in the guard, Dagestani handcuff, smash him against the fence, and rinse and repeat. I don't think Paiva's going to stand up.
Kazakhstani.
Sorry, Kazakhstani handcuff, yeah.
Which is much less effective than the Dazakhstani. Although Kazakhstani wrestlers are pretty good. Romanov and Damir, never mind. Kazakhstani wrestlers are legit.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's Magulov. Yeah.
I mean, this is, They
should have put him on this card. It would have been the Kazakhstani card.
Yeah. If Phillips can take down Paiva, Morozov should too. I'd say Phillips is a better MMA wrestler in the UFC than
Morozov.
In the UFC so far.
We're yet to see, aren't we? He could be.
I mean, either way, it's a close fight odds-wise. So all of you Morozov people, go ahead. Minus 135, eat up. Plus 115 for the Paiva train. I'm not betting it.
I just don't trust Paiva.
I'm just leaving this fight alone. We have 4 fight cards this week. You don't need to bet on JP Buys versus, like Cody Durden. You don't need to bet on Jinyu Frey versus Vanessa Demopolis, but bet Vanessa if you're going to. And you don't have to bet on Morozov here. You don't have to do it.
Do you have to bet on TJ Brown, though?
Oh, boy. This fight. Shailin Nerdonvike versus TJ Brown. Shailin, 36-10, the most unproven 36-10 of all time. Could it be?
46 pro fights.
Yeah, how many of them against pros?
Yeah.
Like, not too many. TJ Brown now, I believe he's at Extreme Couture, or Glory MMA, sorry, Glory MMA.
Yeah.
He's also training with Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell and James Krause are going to be in his corner for this fight. That's a really great corner, I think. Also, TJ Brown came into the UFC, didn't look UFC caliber. He's looked like he has been improving quite a bit. Shailin, on the other hand, he beat Sean Soriano, which is something. Josh Kulibau pretty much dominated him, which we just saw Josh Kulibau look really good against Sungwoo Choi a few weeks ago. So, another example, put him in the Kyle Dawkins category. When Sungwoo Choi is minus 240, you can't trust that. Kyle Dawkins, he's minus 240s on guys who you can't trust. So, seems to be a new number. But either way, Shailin, I don't really rate him in all honesty. I think that most of his wins on his record, I think that TJ Brown would have an even better record if he got that same 46 fight slate, like what TJ Brown would do to a lot of the opponents Shailin was beating. So just level of competition, experience in the UFC and who they face, I do think that I favor TJ Brown. Now, minus 210 on TJ Brown, no thank you at all, just because you can't really trust TJ Brown. I mean, he makes a lot of mistakes. It's like, so to me, this is another fight that I'm not putting a lot of investment on. I think it most likely goes over 2.5 rounds. I think it's going to be kind of a grindy wrestling type of event here. TJ Brown, has fought at 155. He's fought at 145. I think he'll be a little bit bigger than his opponent here. Coming on 2 straight wins. The Kai Kamaka fight was really close. So if you're fighting Kai Kamaka close, I'm kind of questioning you a little bit. He's also coming down to 145. So TJ Brown, could be in a situation where, he just is kind of tired and worn out from the weight cut. Who knows? And Shylin fights a really grinding type of style. So if he's going to win, he's going to grind him to a decision. I'll take TJ Brown, I guess, but very not confident here, honestly. Minus 210 is crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. But I am on TJ Brown as well. Just based on I do not sure I'm pretty sure Soriano's just been cut, right? Or he's about to be. He's 0-3 now in the UFC.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be.
Crystal beat the shit out of him, and then I think he was anyway.
So let me see. The odds are currently TJ Brown, a little bit of money coming in Shylin, minus 205 now, open at minus 210. So I just think that it's not a great fight again. I think TJ Brown should take it though. But
I think I rate Charles Rosa higher than I rate Shylin. And Charles Rosa is a roller coaster of a guy. But he normally just goes to decision. You can't take him out of the game, and he's a really tough individual to beat. TJ Brown beat him decisively, which is very impressive. And I think that's the kind of thing. It's a grueling fight. I think TJ can actually put the grueling fight together. Mm-hmm. He's got to have learned a lot. If he gets this, it's 3 on the spin in the UFC, which is great. He'll get a new improved contract, and there's a lot of things he could probably look forward to with this fight. Whereas Shylin's just when he loses, he gets dominated. We saw how bad Zhu Rong looked with that sort of record. And you think Zhu Rong beat the shit out of him in 2 minutes.
That's a great point. And TJ Brown is a finisher. I mean, when he gets fights done, he usually finishes them.
But I used MMA maths, so don't use that.
Yeah. But Justin, hey, I'm sorry about the start times, but there's 4 MMA cards this week. And I'm going with the PFL right after this if you want to keep watching. And then Cage Warriors tomorrow and Bellator on Wednesday. So sorry about the all over start times, but you can always go back to the beginning. Next fight at 205. I want to say this is my fight of the night.
Wow. Okay.
I think this is going to be a banger, dude. 205 monsters here with, I don't know how much gas, but however much gas they have, I think it's going to be worth it here. Carlos Ulberg.
Before you say, I want to ask you one question about Carlos Ulberg here. Were you impressed with his last fight against Sharon, or were you so disappointed in Sharon? Because he just didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Was that because of Ulberg? Did Ulberg cause that?
I don't know, man. I was really, really that last fight. I watched it back today. I'll give Carlos some credit, man. I'll give Carlos some credit in this because I do think that, that with how Sharon was fighting that fight was as Sharon's fought all his fights in the UFC. I would like to see a finish, but I also think this was an important fight for Carlos because he needed to see he could go 15 minutes in MMA. And
that was a big criticism, wasn't it? His gas tank is
absolutely. And now I think it kind of is dispelled in his own head here. And we'll see. But Tefon Nchukwu is not going to be the guy to test your gas tank here. Tefon Nchukwu is right there with you. They're going to be going in half speed. For me, Ulberg is so much better on the feet, man. So much better. We've seen Tefon sparked twice now. We've seen him sparked. Carlos Ulberg will absolutely spark Tefon Nchukwu in this fight, and he will put him away. This is This is my Gregory Rodriguez pick for the week. Carlos Ulberg by KO. We hit Gregory Rodriguez last week. Let's see if we can keep it 2 straight weeks. Carlos Ulberg, I think second round KO. I think he spends a lot of the first round really kind of draining Teflon, avoiding the big shots that where Teflon can possibly win the fight. Second round, Teflon's going to be slow, tired. I think Carlos has solved the cardio issue slightly. And I think the reason that's a big deal is he can take his time to set up his shots. And once he does, I think he puts away Teflon. We've seen Teflon put away by much more inferior strikers. Carlos is a world-class striker, man. And I think that loss to Kennedy is going to be great for him.
The only issue I have with Ulberg is his defense. I think his defense is quite lackluster. I think he leaves his chin so exposed. I mean, he's got great posture. Was he a model before or something? It's like he has that entire presence about him. When he's on the offense, he's fantastic. When he's on the defense, he's a good hammer, isn't he? That's what I'm worried about here. I think if you've got someone like Tafon, I feel like if he just starts swinging wildly, if you put Rosenstruik and Ngannou together, Rosenstruik is a far better striker, technically. But Ngannou just swings wildly, pushes forward, and doesn't care. He throws, it's reckless abandon, isn't it? And I feel like
I just don't. Teflon fights more like Dalcha Lambu champion. He fights more like Dalcha than and that's very ineffective. He's not.
It might be against Ulberg,
yeah. Like I just think
it was a harsh comparison, but it's the only one I could think of someone that is so devastating and against a technical guy. It's I mean, I also have Ulberg as well. I think Ulberg will piece him up. I think if he avoids that first 5 minutes major shot, it should be rinse and repeat from his last fight. To be honest, against Sharon. I think we see a similar performance to the Bruno Oliveira Ulberg too is what I'm betting on. Because I do like Ulberg by KO. I really do. And I like it second round. So I think it's a really good matchup. I think it could be a very exciting fight for while it lasts. And, I'm going to edge towards Ulberg here. Ulberg at nearly a pick'em here, minus 120 to plus 100 of Teflon and Chukwuka. So I love it. I mean, what is this? This is Ulberg's 6th pro fight now.
Yep.
So I mean,
and Chukwuka has 8.
Then it's not.
Yeah,
is it low level MMA.
It's low level MMA, so I go to who has a higher level.
High level striking, low level MMA. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So should be a good one. But I kind of misspoke because I said Ulberg was my Gregory Rodriguez. That's not true. I'll let you know my Gregory Rodriguez when we get to it. But Ulberg is one of my favorite closer fights where you don't have to tally it up with a parlay. Play it straight at minus 120. I like the KO in the second round if you're looking to pick up a prop. But should be a good one for however long it lasts. 12 fights on the card. We're halfway through now onto the 7th fight. And this is my Gregory Rodriguez pick of the night because we've got the action man, Chris Curtis, making his return to the UFC. 2 straight wins for Chris. Fighting out of Extreme Couture, one of my favorite fighters in MMA. He's awesome. He's just puts on nonstop pressure. He's a really hard guy to finish. Never been finished by submission, going against Rodolfo Vieira, who is trying to become Damian Maia the 2020s. So far, not really going that great. Had that loss to Flavio Hernandez that either is going to make or break him. Came back after that, beat Stolfus. And kind of similarly to Ulberg in the last fight we were talking about, kind of spelled some of those gas rumors, maybe. I don't know. But 32 years old for the black belt, Rodolfo Vieira here. I'll say this, he can submit anybody for sure. But to me, I think this is an absolutely terrible matchup for him. I think Vieira has horrible, horrible gas. And what is the biggest strength of Chris Curtis, you would say?
Yeah, his gas tank.
His gas tank, his heart, his pressure, his volume, and his toughness to get finished. I mean, these are all of the above. Never been submitted. So, I mean, if somebody can submit you, it certainly can be Vieira. Vieira can submit a lot of people who've never been finished. I do agree with that. But to me, I think he's going to drown Rodolfo Vieira. Absolutely drown him. If he makes it through the first round, which I kind of doubt Vieira does. I think Chris Curtis knocks him out in round 1. If he does, I think by round 2 and 3, there's just no way he's able to keep the pace Chris Curtis is able to keep and get this fight to where he needs to get it. Chris Curtis has 30 plus fights on 36-9. So 27 more fights in MMA. This guy is so hungry. You know, he worked hard to get here. He deserves to be here. He cuts that much weight to make 185. Chris Curtis doesn't cut weight to make 185. What does that allow you to do? It allows you to push the pace in a way that your opponent cannot. Vieira is getting drowned in this fight and KO'd at some point. It's just a matter of when. I think it happens first round. I think this is such a bad matchup for Vieira, and I rate Vieira's jiu-jitsu very highly. I don't rate Fusion XL highly, where he trains at in Florida at all. I've heard some whispers from others training there about his cardio. I won't name my sources, but I have heard from others training at Fusion XL that he has had cardio issues in training since he started MMA. He's 32 years old here. Chris Curtis is 34. So, yes, he has an age advantage, but Chris Curtis doesn't fight like a 34-year-old. The KOs he had of Phil Hawes and Brandon Allen are legit. They're on short notice. Chris Curtis all day.
I'm not disagreeing with anything you said. I just have to play devil's advocate for anyone that might be thinking Vieira. And the only thing I can think of is when somebody like Ray Cooper, granted wrestling, and Vieira is not a wrestler, he's had trouble getting people to the ground, which I think is why he's gassing so hard, is because he's not in his element. He's having to strike with individuals, especially when he's striking with Stoltzfus, where he was getting busted up in parts of those fights, you know, until he managed to scramble it to the ground. In that third, he was like, I need to get it to the ground now. I'm dying here. But I was impressed he actually looked okay with the gas for that one. That was one positive. But when Ray Cooper can dominate you on the ground and just held Chris Curtis down like a child, now I'm wondering if that was because Curtis was at welterweight. And I was going to ask you, do you think the middleweight is such a better move for him now?
He cuts no weight now. I think it's a good move. Also, Chris Curtis in the PFL, you want to talk about a rough go of it. I think he got Magomed Makirimov like twice, and Ray Cooper. Like, I mean, it's a lot of why I think so many people didn't give him much of a chance against Phil Hawes in that first fight in the UFC. And I was not. I've just been a huge fan. He is almost 35. He's 34 and 11 months. Like, he's almost 35 years old. You know, but again, I think he's still got a couple more years left, and it's all about matchups here. The way that Curtis fights and the way that Vieira fight are just whoever gets their way is going to really have their way. So your points about Vieira, if Vieira can dominate the grappling, are really, you know, good.
The only way I can see it is if it goes to the floor, I don't see Curtis getting up. I really don't. Vieira is that good on the ground, but will it even hit the ground? I don't see Vieira's you should have been focusing solely on Damian Maia was so effective because he pulled guard and knew how to trip you to the floor. Vieira don't know shit about how to get someone to the mat. And that's a real issue when your whole game is on the mat. So for that reason, obviously I'm fully backing when you are fully on Chris Curtis's ass like this, I know to listen to you. It's one of those things. When someone is such a hardcore fan of one individual, you know everything.
I've watched every one of his fights.
So is Vieira wolf tickets for you now? Will you always bet? Like, is there anyone you're going to kind of guarantee beats in this division? Because
Vieira beats undersized 185ers like Dustin Stoltzfus.
Okay.
Dustin Stoltzfus should be at 170. So the bloated 185ers, I think he can beat.
And you don't think Chris
I don't.
I'm not at 170 anymore.
Yeah, I just think this is such a good spot for everybody. I would highly recommend they get on this line before it gets out of hand. Minus 155, Chris Curtis is my I'll call it the RoboCop bet of the week. That's going to be my new moniker for it because I was so sure about RoboCop last week. Yeah. So, shout out to Gregory Rodriguez. Keep making that climb. I think he could be really a legit threat in the 185 division, especially if he starts using that jiu-jitsu again. But Chris Curtis, knockout for me, round 1, minus 155 is a fantastic price. So
I have no idea about the finish I have no idea about the results, but I'm fully behind you with Chris.
Yep. And go ahead, blow up the comments after this fight if I'm wrong. But if I'm right, it'll be crickets, which is all good. Part of the game. But yeah, that's how we're opening the main card. And we're on to the next fight here, which, oh boy, we got, we've been talking about all the close lines tonight, right? Now we have Arman Nurmagomedov, the line killer himself. I'll get this out of the way right now. Umar Nurmagomedov is a minus 800 favorite, plus 550 on Nate Menez.
Do you want to know what the poll result was on my YouTube for this fight?
Yeah, sure.
So 59 people voted, and it's a 97% rating.
Yeah. And this is a 14-0 guy against a 14-1 guy.
Yeah.
Like, so fucking
it ain't the same 14-0 though. It ain't the same 15 fights. Like, it ain't the same.
Okay, shout out to Armenia in the house here. Hovik Stepania. Future. We are huge. I'm a huge Arman fan. I believe that both of us are. So you're in the right place here.
He definitely has a real shot at that title, mate, next year.
Dude, he's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only guy with better takedowns in the division is Islam. But we're talking.
He's calling him out, and he's calling him out again.
I love it. He is not afraid of that at all. But yeah, Umar versus Nate Menez. This is just. I wish he was still minus. Has it gone up? Has Umar gone up?
Probably minus 1,000 now.
Oh my God. Let me see. Umar is now minus 900. Okay. So
he's
Umar
2 wins away from a title fight. I think he's way more than 2 wins just because how deep that division is.
Yeah, Umar minus 900, Nate Menez plus 600 now. We know. Trust me, we know he took this fight on short notice.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nate Menez here. Let's talk about the positives here. 3-inch reach advantage. He's taller. He hits hard.
He's got better hands. I'll give him that.
He hits hard. He's better hands, not better kicks. Obviously, the wrestling goes to Umar all day. Bet the house on Nate. I bought as much formula and I bought it as much baby formula and took it down to a pawn shop. I don't know what that means, Justin, but okay. Nate Menez. How does he win this fight? He catches Umar and KOs him. Otherwise, it's going to be rinse and repeat wrestling and getting kicked in the face and legs and body for a long time by Umar. Umar fights so different than Khabib. But still has
a mix between Khabib and Zabit, isn't he? That's what he's a little mixture of.
Khabib. But yeah, Nate Menez, he'll be bigger. And he hits harder with the hands. Those are his advantages. He knocked out Tony Gravely in that last fight. Tony Gravely
after getting saved by the bell.
Yeah, after getting
when
saved
Tony
by the bell.
Gravely knocks you out pretty much.
Yeah. It's just. No, you're fine, Hovik. You can talk. You're all good. I was just responding to your comments. You don't need to shut up. This is just, if he can't catch him, I think, if Terralopolis is sidekicking you to KOs, Umar could probably kick you to KO too. But he's probably just going to wrestle him all day long. And I just think Nate's tough. I think Nate, is great and everything, but he's not. This is going to be a long night for him or a very short night. Umar, I would hope gets the finish in this fight.
He'll get the finish. First round. I've upset a few Nate Menez fans on the YouTube comment. Like, I think 90% of the comments so far on the video I did are all obviously Umar. It's just he's got so much potential hype.
Yeah,
he's got the technique. He's got the corner. He's got the training camp. He's got everything. I put Nate Menez when he gets taken down, and he has to get back up for a start. And when he gets back up, he has to explode out of that clinch. He has to punish him for taking him down. He has to make it count because he's not going to get many chances because Umar is smothering. He's like glue. When he's on you, he's on you. When he's off you, he's kicking you. He doesn't stop. And Menez has a real problem with starting and stopping. He doesn't find that rhythm, or he didn't in his first few UFC fights. I just feel like he's going to get taken down and choked out real quick.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah, Umar's going to drown him. Absolutely, Ovik. I'm with that.
All right.
I don't see any other way. I don't see who beats Umar in this division yet. I don't.
Yeah. So far, it just seems like he's in a kind of a class of his own. So
yeah, I'm just.
He was at 145 for the last fight, right?
Out.
He was at 145 for the last fight, right?
Well, against Gravely? No, that was bantamweight.
No, Umar. I'm saying.
Oh, Umar. Let me check for you, sir.
Umar was fighting at 1.
Yeah, it was featherweight. It was the featherweight one against.
Yeah, so that's an X factor.
But he fought Morozov at bantamweight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he looked fine. Yeah, it's just a low X. You know, I mean, again,
it's minus 800. Nathaniel Wood. I'm so glad he never had to fight Nathaniel Wood.
Yeah, it's minus 900. Crazy odds though. Next fight here. I think this one is much closer than the experts think.
Any of you want a bit facial hair? He doesn't. I'll shave all my.
No, I'm no more.
I'll shave my
facial
hair off. I haven't shaved in a while. So
no more. Yeah, no more for me.
But Justin has to bet money.
Yeah, Thiago Moises taking on Christos Giagos here. I think this is an interesting fight. I'll say kind of off the bat here, I feel that Thiago Moises has gotten into the overrated category a little bit quickly here. And I think that Christos Giagos is not a bad fighter. Go back and watch his fight with Charles Oliveira, for example. Who won the first round of the Charles Oliveira Christos Giagos fight? Christos Giagos won it, actually. He actually pushed.
What about Hadzovic?
Yeah, the Hadzovic fight. I mean, Christos Giagos is very good, and he's only been submitted, I believe, one time. It was by Charles Oliveira, who has a few submissions in his record here. But Christos Giagos,
just a few submissions.
Yeah, Christos Giagos, he's a good pressure fighter. He's fighting out of, I believe, Sanford MMA now. Originally was over at Black House. I believe he's at Sanford now. But yeah, 19-9. Good experience on his record. Good fighters. Got pretty handled by Arman Tsarukyan. Not gonna, hate on that too much. His last 2 wins though, Carlton Minus and Sean Soriano. So that's where I have a little bit of trouble here. I mean, really, his last 4 wins are not over the highest level of competition. It does seem when he kind of takes that step up in competition, he does seem to falter. I just, with Thiago Moises, we've seen several fights where he's looked good, but also, like the Bobby Green fight where he kind of got a gift in that one, and just.
Do you want to know a nice fact about it?
Yeah.
So he's got 8 fights in the UFC, dude. 4 of them, including his Dariush, Ismagulov, Makhachev, and Joel Alvarez. That is fucking harsh. Yeah. Your 4 fights in, his wins are great in the UFC, in my opinion. I think 3 of them are, when you finish Michael Johnson, that's the statement you need against Michael Johnson. He got given a gift after Ismagulov, didn't he? So, yeah. But I think you're right with the overrated, maybe.
Okay, Oliver is telling us we both look like Redditors. Cool.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but I'll highlight it for him to give him his attention. So
what's a Redditor?
It's Reddit is over here in the States. It's like a conglomeration of websites.
What does a Redditor look like though?
Oh well, we'll let Oliver answer that. I mean, he opened up with a really great opening too, so he sounds like a smart guy. But with this fight, what do you see? How do you see this fight going? Because this is one that I'm kind of having trouble really getting a complete image on. Honestly, a part of me wants to kind of doubt Moises, but I just don't know if Christos Giagos is the one.
Yeah, I think Moises is really good. That's the statement I'll open with. He's very good. I mean, he went 4 rounds with Islam Makhachev and took Islam down. That's a statement in its own. He got pretty much manhandled by him for the rest of the fight. Joel Alvarez came out and just swarmed him. Absolutely swarmed him. Ismagulov tore him to pieces. Dariush tore him to pieces. Controlled him completely. The people he has fought and beaten are the level of Christos. That's what I'll say. Alexander Hernandez, Bobby Green, I think they're all in the same category as Christos Giagos. Christos has been at wars with people that aren't particularly like Drakkar Klose is not a ranked fighter and never will be to me, but he's a decent mixed martial artist. I think the main problem here is I don't rate Thiago Moises as a lightweight. I think he's quite undersized. Everyone he's against, he's always undersized, and the frame of Christos is massive. He's a big boy, and that is one concern.
Moises is kind of active with the striking at times.
Yeah, I think the path to victory for Christos here is he's got serious pressure, high volume, mixes it up well, dances around people really well. But come the second and third, his movement stops a little bit and he starts getting a bit more loose. And when it comes loose is when he gets exposed with the grappling. And I think that's where Moises has to implement his grappling. He's got very, very high level grappling, which is a bit harsh when you go against Dariush Makhachev. So I don't think I think Christos will come out the gate hot-headed, looking for that early finish. Similar approach to how Joel Alvarez did. Catch him off guard. Don't give him time to set a balance or read his own movements or anything. Just come out the gates and just blitz him. But if it doesn't go successful, I think this is Moises all day. I'd still rate Thiago. I want him to win because he has a lot of potential. He's a young guy and he's had a rough time so far. But I will just say, I think Christos might be a little bit chinny. Like Arman Tsarukyan's check left hook, best takedown in the game is a left hook according to Bisping, and it's right there. Arman absolutely left him for days with just a check left hook, just shut. He ran backwards into the cage. He was out on his feet. I don't think he can take a heavy punch, to be honest with you. I think it all happened after the Drakkar Klose war. I don't think he can take a shot that well anymore.
This is pretty much how I feel. I wouldn't touch Moises at this price. Seems like bookies are overpricing favorites these days in general, knowing most people will bet them anyways. Kyle Dawkins, we saw 100%. This with Sungwoo Choi. This is this week's Kyle Dawkins to me. It's a minus 240 in Thiago Moises. I just don't think that's a good line for him. And overall, I do see a few routes of victory here for Christos Giagos, honestly. I think he could spring the upset. This might be my Buckley moment of this week. I am going to still go with Moises to get the decision. I think Moises takes rounds 2 and 3. But I think Christos Giagos comes out and wins round 1.
Me too.
So, might be a little nervous.
I think this might be another live one for me.
Yeah, I think this is a live one as well. We got, and again, Christos Giagos plus 200, minus 240 on Thiago Moises. I think that price is nutty.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, I mean, it's
coming off a KO loss as well. Like, they're both coming off KO losses here. How can you have
both are coming off KO losses. Both guys really need this fight. Giagos is going to be the much larger opponent. Hey, we got an early stake fight and we got a late stake fight here, boys, and girls, because we got the return of Josh Parisian. Josh Parisian is only 32 years old. I didn't know that. I was going to guess 42. He's on the last fight of his contract, going against 34-year-old Alan Buday. Neither guys look good in any of their fights in the UFC. Alan Buday is the worst heavyweight, I think, in the division, and Parisian's like, what, third worst probably?
It's thingy-majiggy back in it now, Chase.
Chase Sherman. Would you rate Alan Buday worse than Chase Sherman?
I don't know.
That's a pick 'em. That's a pick 'em.
That's a close fight.
I got Buday by submission against Chase Sherman.
I mean, they're all these guys are in a little category of their own, aren't they?
Yeah.
What it's doing this card, I have no idea.
I hate to say this to people watching. First of all, we have 15 people watching right now. Really appreciate everybody checking out this kind of random Monday breakdown. Drop the like, drop the sub if you want. But I hate to say this, but flip a coin. And that's who you should pick. Good
breakdown. That is actually quite accurate to how I've been thinking about this fight.
Yeah. I'll pick Josh Parisian. Thanks, Rick James. I don't know. I'll pick Josh Parisian. Good Lord, though. Rick James just said I was the man, so I can die a happy man. But Josh Parisian, we got the dog, baby. We got the dog. Plus 100. Josh.
I'm going to go Buday just because he was more competitive with the Porker than Josh was.
Okay. We're using Parker
no other
Porter
reason.
Math. Parker Porter math. Only here, folks. You got the minus 120 favorite. This is a fight where you don't want to bet it, first of all. But if you do not want to bet the favorite here. You won't have the dog ticket because they're both. If someone doesn't get finished in the first round, they're both dying by the second. The third round, they're not even moving.
Yeah.
This is why this is third from the top. I don't know.
You should be opening the card or be on a different.
These guys are fighting for their. Yeah, it shouldn't be on the card. It should be like. So the WWF used to have dark matches back in the day, World Wrestling Federation when it was called that. And those were like fights that happened that weren't even televised. This should not be televised. This should be like, looking for those Brazilian fight tapes on LFAs where it's like, none of their fight tape is available. This should be in the WLF, the Chinese Federation. This is not a UFC fight. Grizz says Parisian has more volume for what? 12 seconds? Like, Parisian dies. This is such a bad fight. I guess Parisian's had some personal issues too that he's gotten sorted out. Give me the dog and Parisian. Please, God, by KO. If there is, please. Black Samurai versus Josh Parisian. Just kill me.
Imagine someone like tuning into your channel for the first time and they come onto the video at that time. You're like, flip a coin.
Flip a coin. Like and subscribe. Justin has Buday by KO. Cool.
This is an interesting one. I didn't want to speak to you off air.
So we have to sit through Josh Parisian and Alan Buday to get to some world class guys in the rest of the fights here. Next fight at 170, really interesting and good fight here. Shavkat Rakhmonov, Kazakhstan is the greatest. I picked against him in his last fight, in case anybody has forgotten. Carlston Harris did not turn in a great performance there. Pretty rough go of it. Shavkat and Kazmat. That's all I want. Shavkat, Kazmat. It's all I want. It's all I need in my life. Neil Magny beats a certain level of competition, and he loses to that like upper echelon. Coming off a split against Max Payne Griffin, where you get dropped, I think that the time is coming for Neil Magny's kind of overperforming run in the UFC to be ending. And going up against Shavkat, I give him credit. Neil Magny calling out there's no one Neil Magny would say no to in a fight. So I will say that much. Still only 34 years old, kind of surprising to me, but he really is starting to take more damage in these fights against these high level opponents. They really expose Neil Magny. I think that it's hard to get that Mike Chiesa fight on my head. That was the fight that showed me who Neil Magny was. And I think Shavkat is world class. I think he is. It's him and Hazmat. Those guys, I need them to fight. I need them to fight soon. I don't care if it's canceling out a contender. I need them to fight. I need it to happen. I think that, here Shavkat sub is the absolute play. Because Neil Magny has been subbed many times in his career. Shavkat has very good submissions. We've seen it already in the UFC quite a bit. He's got good hands, good pressure, good size. He's now training at Sanford MMA, which I love. Shavkat round 1 KO for Visceral. Yeah, Shavkat, it's minus 400. So that's very scary. This is a huge step up to Neil Magny, or a step up to Neil Magny for sure. But Shavkat, until otherwise notified, I'm picking him. And I got him by sub here. I just think where you can expose Neil.
Was he 14 or 15-0 now? Is it 15-0, 15 finishes?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Variety too.
The dude's spinning attacks, you can't telegraph him. He's got old school Barboza's like speed when he does it. And you think he did it against Harris. He's done it against Perez and Oliveira. Non-stop. Shavkat will win this fight. There is nothing. Old Magny might have caused a problem. Mm-hmm. He really might have, with the high volume, with the length. Shavkat can get inside that, no problem. He has the grappling. He actually only uses it seems, when he's hurt you with the striking, which is scary to think. He doesn't even use it as a forefront, just as a backup. He beats Magny everywhere to me. Absolutely.
Yeah, and Magny doesn't even have that like huge height advantage because Shavkat's so huge.
Yeah, and I just think like the same as
Shavkat
Griffin
Who you got?
Shavkat. Like,
You've got Shavkat. You're on team Shavkat.
absolutely.
You think he KOs him?
Yeah, quickly.
Oh,
Quickly.
I wonder what the line would
Magny
be
ain't
on that.
Magny's tough, but he ain't hard to work out. He doesn't do anything crazy. He just does everything. He does the fundamentals extremely well.
Mm-hmm.
But he's slowing down big time, and you saw that against Griffin. He's slowing down.
Yeah,
Shavkat
nothing makes me
speeding
more of a believer than when I pick against you and you absolutely make me look like I've never watched MMA before. And that's what Shavkat did to Carlston Harris. He made Carlston Harris look like he's never been in an MMA fight. And Carlston Harris was coming into that fight 2 straight wins in the UFC, looking really strong.
Looking good.
And in pretty similar like style in a lot of ways to Neil Magny, actually.
Yeah.
Like are similar.
It's gonna go well. It's gonna go well.
Yeah, I like
don't ever
Shavkat.
be the guy that it's better to bet on Shavkat and be wrong than
So like
let's
let's think. Last week, a lot of people had Kyle Dawkins as like the guy in their parlays. Like they're like, put Kyle Dawkins in these parlays, let's go. This week you got Shavkat you can put in your parlays. Who you're trusting to put in your parlays is huge because it's like, you really should be sure. Shavkat to me, I think this is a proper step up, and I think he's gonna dismantle Neil Magny. I like the submission. You like the KO. But we both like Shavkat.
Yeah, I mean, I would not be surprised if he hurts him and does exactly what he did to Oliveira, which is just jump on that guillotine. When the thing is, he doesn't. I'll say one more thing is he doesn't gamble. He knows what's going to land when he spins and he does that turning side kick or that wheel kick. He knows it's landing. He doesn't fucking miss him. It's so crazy and technical to watch because it just doesn't happen like that. When people throw the spins, it's normally to diversify the attacks and keep them guessing. He does it knowing it's going to land because he can generate so much technical.
Shavkat needs to get a highlight finish and call out Hassamat immediately.
He ain't calling that anyone. He's too polite.
He needs to though. If he does that, people know who Shavkat is.
I'll tell you, people.
No one knows who Shavkat is.
He's the performance guy. He'll get a top 5 guy. He will get a jump.
Yeah. But
you don't beat Neil Magny and then not get a jump. Credit to Neil Magny, by the way, the only person calling out Shavkat and comes out.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
You might be a bit silly for doing it.
Yeah, exactly. On to the main event here. This is, I think, one of the best main events of the year. Mareusz Gamrot taking on Arman Tsarukyan. These guys are really, really good. This is going to be a really good fight. Gamrot coming off that submission of Diego Ferreira in the last fight. He looked okay. Didn't look incredible to me at all. He had that short notice fight against Guram. That was really high level, world class fight. But, again, kind of a little bit of underwhelming performance. Arman Tsarukyan, we all know, came onto the scenes taking on Islam Makhachev on 2 weeks notice or less?
I have no idea, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was like a really short notice. Definitely made a good showing of himself since then, has looked very, very good. I like both these guys quite a bit. I think that Arman Tsarukyan at 25 years old has some of the best wrestling, if not the best wrestling in the division, him and Islam. He's got that Islam fight on his mind, 18-2 versus 20-1. These are very high level. Mateusz Gamrot, the gamer, American top team, training with a lot of very high level guys. A little bit smaller at 5'10". Again, had that split, but besides that, Scott Holtzman looked really good against him. Jeremy Stevens, it's Jeremy Stevens, but still 3 straight finishes. Getting it to the ground is where he likes to fight. I just think against a guy like Tsarukyan, you're not taking him down, you're not getting him to the ground. And on the feet, I think Tsarukyan has a huge advantage. Because I do think the ground games for the most part kind of cancel each other out. Gamrot's faced different competition at KSW with 4 title defenses. So it sounds like Pro Schmo Bets is thinking on Gamrot. I don't hate it, because this price is pretty nuts. I think this is a really close fight. I think Gamrot has a ton of great experience. His kind of KSW and run before getting to UFC reminds me kind of like a Yuri type of run, where it's like he's really testing himself against legit competition. Making title defenses is a huge deal. So I think those are really good points to bring up. He was an Olympic level, holds a gold. Olympic should be. He's an Olympic, And yeah, the price is outlandish. Everybody loves Arman. You know, Arman's listed at 5'9" and 5'7", so let's call it 5'8". Arman looks like a more explosive, better athlete. I agree there. Neither guy's a large lightweight, I would say, from especially a height perspective, but Arman is like built like a tank, you know, and Gamrot's a little more leaner of a guy. I just don't think like ankle picks and things like that are going to work against a guy like Arman Tsarukyan. And I just think the hooks, the power on the feet and everything, I think is going to be the difference. I hate this price, though. The price is pretty nuts for what a close fight this is. It's being 5 rounds. You know, Gamrot has gone 5 rounds in KSW, not in the UFC, obviously. I think could be smart for Shavkat to call out Burns and to put Hazmat in position. Yeah, okay. That's not a bad idea either, Wesley. Yeah, but I mean, you've got a minus 275 price tag on Arman Tsarukyan right now. So that's rough for me. Gamrot is not that bad. You know, and I get that everybody's kind of in a rush to say Arman is the second best lightweight to Islam completely. I did say he's the second best wrestler. We still don't know about a lot of things. We don't know how he'll look in 5 rounds here. I believe this is Arman's first main event ever. And I think that's a huge factor. And again, Gamrot has, you know, the, you know, ability to roll for submissions, put, you know, his opponents in unusual circumstances too. So could see an Imanari roll. And I get it. Like calling an Imanari roll is like, okay, he's not going to but he could. I mean, Gamrot has world-class heel hooks, world-class leg locks. He goes for a lot of that kind of stuff too. And he could get desperate. And, you know, I'm going to go with Arman Tsarukyan here. I just think he is that good. I think it's an Arman decision. So that's a way to kind of cut down the price here. I wouldn't put Arman at minus 275 in all my parlays, though. I just think it's a little steep. Arman said in an interview he wants the fight to go past 3 rounds, and that'll look to finish him in the championship rounds for experience. I don't love that because, like, I just think, again, I don't think Gamrot's a guy who you can decide when or how you're going to beat him. Gamrot's pretty damn good. 20-1, faced really good competition as well. The Guram fight, his only loss, and that was a close one. But I think Tsarukyan drops him at some point with a hook, probably of some kind. So I think the knockdowns could make a difference in a few of these rounds. I think if the wrestling is going to be on one side, it'll be Arman's as well. So I am going to edge with Arman, and Arman by decision is what I would say.
Yeah, it's this is the most debated fight, I think, of the weekend.
Minus 275 and plus 220.
Yeah, I mean, across the fan base, like, I've had so many people. I've had people say Gamrot is overrated, which is just wrong.
No, that's not true.
I've had people say Arman is not as good as people make it out.
Not true. Both these guys are extremely good.
These guys, like, I still think Gamrot is going to be the future of this division, and I think Arman's a future champion, no doubt. But when you have the wrestling of Arman, I don't think it will cancel each other out. I think that even though Gamrot's got the gold, I think his MMA wrestling is far higher than Arman's. I think Arman has power doubles, he has explosive technique, and he has power hooks over the side. He's almost like a Chad Mendes-esque to me. When you have the Gamrot, he's the more Ferguson style. He will scramble. He bends his legs in all different ways and shapes and sizes not to get taken down and to reverse positions and stuff. He struggled to get Kuta Deladze to the floor.
Yep.
Arman is going to be a unit to take to the floor. You better believe his defense in wrestling is as good as that offense. So that's a major concern for Gamrot. In the striking, I give the edge to Gamrot. I think straight technique and especially his 1-2s as well. The 1-2 he did against Scott Holtzman to set him down, unbelievably powerful. Pinpoint accuracy, timing of perfection. Arman has not taken a shot like that. That might test him. He was in a full striking war against Guram, and it went to a split decision. The guy can strike, and that is a major advantage against Arman. I don't think Arman is a good striker. I think he's just got heavy, heavy hands. I think he's an okay striker. That's his room for improvement to me within MMA. Is his distance management and how he can actually control the range a lot easier because he's relying is a wrong word, but he uses the wrestling obviously for everything else. So when you're that good at one thing, you're going to do the Khabib style. You're just going to keep using it, run through people. But if he can't get Gamrot down because you've met your match with the wrestler, which we never saw from Khabib, that's that's one question to put out there. I also side with Arman. I think he takes it via decision. Gamrot is next to impossible to put away. Well, we haven't seen him really badly put away yet. The only time we've seen him in trouble is when Garam dropped him with that left hook. And we've seen Arman drop people. I think people are so high on Arman right now with the betting line is because he decimated someone like Joel Alvarez, who is so high as well. Like, pinned him to the floor and landed
about
the 100 elbows.
It's then the success of Islam.
Yeah.
Like, it's how good Islam's looked since that fight against Arman.
Absolutely.
So, I think it's those two things. If Tsarukyan wins, who should be his next fight, in your opinion?
At lightweight.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, Gamrot like is what? Is Gamrot even top 10?
Gamrot, yeah, no, 12, and Tsarukyan's 11.
Yeah, so someone in the, so
I would say someone like, I know it's not moving up that much, but if you can get if he could get a Gaethje off of a loss, or you could get a Dos Anjos or a Fiziev.
No, I mean, if he gets RDA or Fiziev.
Well, that's it's. Other than that, who's in the division higher? Dariush, McGregor,
I don't
Chandler.
think Fiziev really interests me. RDA really interests me. Fiziev doesn't exactly interest me for Arman, just because I do think that's a pretty straightforward approach for Arman to win that.
Champion or non-champion now, Oliveira to McGregor is 8. That's the top 8. So it's like Poirier, Gaethje, Makhachev, Chandler, Dariush.
Poirier's not taking a fight with Arman Tsarukyan.
Makhachev isn't. Gaethje probably isn't. Poirier isn't. Oliveira isn't. McGregor ain't. So you got Dariush or Anyos. I don't think Dariush is going to. He's calling out McGregor. So
yeah, Chandler wants really money. Chandler doesn't want to fight a 25-year-old.
He will get wrecked by Arman.
Chandler doesn't want that. Yeah, no, I think it's RDA.
Really difficult. I think it's going to be really difficult to get him a fight, to be honest with you, because everyone's going to be saying no because they all think they deserve the title shot. Other than that, maybe Tony Ferguson, but Tony Ferguson don't.
Yeah, you're going to have to fight behind the rankings to fight Arman. He's kind of in the Sean Brady category for this division, where it's like no one wants to fight behind you to fight him. But
if you go behind him, then it's Dan Hooker, Brad Riddell, and Diego Ferreira. They're not even close to the level. Not even close. Like,
no.
I honestly think he needs to get RDA and then or a Gaethje. He deserves something like that as well. If he beats Gamrot, he fucking deserves a Gaethje after coming off a loss. That's what he deserves. And Gaethje needs to get a proper name back in. Is the chat still going, or is that Aaron frozen on me? I think Aaron's frozen, guys. Let's all stay quiet and just wait for him. Yeah, we're here. It's Aaron. Aaron's internet again. Unbelievable. But yeah, I honestly don't think I think he's going to be really stressed out trying to find a fight for that lightweight division. If he gets Dariush, look at me on my big screen now. I am the screen. I think if he could get a Dariush, a Dos Anjos, or a Gaethje, that would be it.
My bad. My computer just turned off. Like the whole thing just turned off. We're so close. But yeah, my bad. We're gonna wrap this up. This breakdown.
I love everyone says fighter A is the future champ, but say it about multiple fighters. Like, who's the future champ? Is like they all can be.
Yeah.
You can have more than one. You can have more than one champion. He's 25 years old. He might not be champion before Islam, but he damn well be at some point.
Yeah, I mean that's the point of the main event is that all of a sudden everybody's off of Gamrot. If Gamrot comes out and puts on a great performance against Arman,
I will not be.
Everybody all of a sudden loves Mateusz Gamrot.
They're
like, look at Mateusz, the Polish power.
Yeah, he will be the most dangerous guy, not ranked in the top 10. Gamrot with a win or loss, with a loss. Sorry,
I did freeze. I'm back now. It's okay. It happens. But in 3 years, who do you think is a champ at 155? I don't know, man. Come on.
3 years. There might be a new guy.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's who knows.
That's crazy. At the end of
Norton, and then Hovik, and then we're gonna take off here. But Hovik wants to know your favorite soccer team, if you have one.
Southend United.
I don't even know what that is.
They're in the 5th tier of English football, mate.
DC United, MLS, baby. Let's go. All right. That's enough of the soccer talk today. Real quick, I just want to thank everybody for watching. 20 viewers. Maybe I'm going to have to start doing Monday UFC shows more often because we don't get 20 viewers too often. So it really does mean a lot, Hovik. I'm glad to have you on the channel. I haven't seen you before, Pro Schmoes Bet. I don't believe I've seen you before, but if I have, my bad. Bilal's Beak, Wesley Snipes, who's a regular here, Visceral, Oliver, appreciate you all. Armchair is, one of the OGs, of course. Very well, maybe Charles Oliveira still. Not willing to make hyperbolic claims about every single European up-and-comer, though.
Because we make it about 2 guys doesn't mean
well, you also have an English accent, so you're biased.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, it's
against all Europeans.
Right, exactly. Yeah. No, every single up-and-comer from Europe, that's what we do. We call them champs here. Justin, appreciate you. Rick James, Armchair, always appreciate you, even if sometimes your comments are stupid. It's okay. We still love you, man. But yeah, it might be Charles Oliveira still because he might just keep missing weight and having to re-win the title the next fight. But for Aaron, for Lewis, we're out. Coming up in about 30 minutes will be the PFL show on the channel. It'll just be me, but I'll be going through all 10 fights there, heavyweight and featherweight. So see you about 3:45 or so for the PFL Breakdown show. Tomorrow is the Cage Warrior show with Lewis and I, where we get to call a bunch of other Europeans future champs for Cage Warriors. We'll have a special guest on for that, hopefully. And then either Tuesday or Wednesday, we'll also be covering the Bellator Breakdown. Four fight cards this week. Lots of content coming on the channel. Go ahead and drop the like, subscribe, spread the word. Appreciate you all. Take care of each other. Peace.